Cool, boys? Who did their meditations? Raise your hand if you did your meditations. You didn't do it? At all?
You weren't supposed to do them on the weekends, correct?
Correct. Grayson, did you do it? Raise your hand high if you did them. Okay, so Cam, Bashan, what was the reason we didn't do them?
I was really worried about them. I was trying to get it better.
Okay. What was yours, Bashan? Just forgot? That's okay. Okay, listen. This is your last chance, so I like both of you a lot, so you're lucky that I like you. Okay? We got to do our meditations, though. Why? Why do we got to do our meditations, boys? Well, if we aren't applying what we learned in class, is anything happening? No. Nothing is changing. I'm here to change and grow. That will not happen if you don't do the meditations. Cool? What are our reflections, boys, from the people that did do them?
I had a lot of future mind.
Future mind? Is that really helpful to know? Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. What else? What are our reflections?
A lot of thinking.
A lot of thinking. We think a lot, don't we? Okay? Does that get in the way a lot of times? Yes. If we become more mindful, does that slowly dissolve a lot of the thoughts? Yes. Okay? What else? What about you, Max? Yeah, so do you feel your focus getting better? Like you're starting to catch yourself faster? Yeah. That's good. Is it really helpful to see immediate results, boys? Yeah. Of improvement? Yes. Very helpful. Okay. Anything else? Grayson, you did them? Okay. Now, notebooks out, open up to a new page, writing utensil, then put your stuff down. You don't have your notebook? Got you. We'll use a piece of paper. You'll get it in the next hour. Once you have that, eyes and ears, boys, you're not clicking your pen, you're looking at me, put your stuff. There only should be a notebook and pen on the table. Okay. Are we ready for today? Yeah? Let's do it. Okay. So, boys, today's subject is going to be this big word, truth. Write it down. July 8th, truth. Question? Pencil? Can you guys just make sure you return them after you use them? Yes. Do you need a pen or no? Do you have a writing? You got a writing utensil? Take that. Who else needs this? Everyone got it? Okay. Everybody got truth written down and on their paper? All right. Let's do it, boys. So, what is truth? It's good.
It's when you're telling something that's actually like truth, like you're telling something that's a fact.
Beautiful. So write this down. Truth equals fact or reality. Okay. We've talked a lot about the word illusions, boys. What's an illusion? Beautiful. Write that down, because that's a good reminder. What's an illusion, Camden? Something we think is real, but is not. No, you're not stupid. What do you mean? You just got it right. I was just adding to your definition. Okay? What? There's what?
There's two Camdens. He's Camden.
You're Camden? We've always called you Cam. Are you also called Cam? Sometimes. I'm going to call you Camden just so we can keep Camden and Cam separate. Cool? So, truth is real or fact, right? And illusion is something we think is real but is not. Where do all our problems come from, boys? Most of the time, do we spend more time in illusions or truth? Most of the time, okay? And we're here to talk about today how we can start spending more time in truth. Does that make sense, boys? Are we all on the same page? Cool. All right. So, the problem, boys, okay, when we're talking about truth, most people, are they more concerned with their views being right or what is true? Most people would rather have their views be confirmed than figure out what is actually true. Is that fair to say? Because trust me, that's what it is for most people. Okay? Write that down. Most people would rather be confirmed right than figure out what is actually true. Why is this a huge, huge issue? What do we think, boys? Once you're done writing. What do we got? Why is this a big issue? Are we seeing clearly if we'd rather be right than wrong, or than what's true? No. What is mindfulness all about? Seeing what? Seeing clearly, right? If we want something to be a certain way or to confirm what we already think, does that prevent us from growing? Boom. There it is. That's the point, right? All of this philosophy of limitless performance is to do what? Get better. Grow you faster. Are you going to get better results if you grow faster? Yes. What limits your growth? Illusions and clinging to what you think is right. Clinging to what you think you already know. Is there way more that you don't know than know? Way, way more. For everybody. Not just like, I know way, way, way less than I do know. Does that make sense? Okay? So today we're going to talk about what we can do and how we can stop falling into this trap that's preventing us from growing. Cool? Yes? We're all on the same page? Yes or no? Yes? Cool. All right. So, ignorance. Write down that word. Ignorance. What do we think that word means, boys?
Like you're being like really selfish and full of yourself and like ignoring stuff.
That's good. What were you going to say, Luke?
Not knowing the truth.
Boom, right? So ignorance is thinking you know something when you don't, right? So an example could be, say I have a view and I am resistant to changing that view because I'd rather be right than find what's true. That's ignorance. Does that make sense, boys? So ignorance is thinking you know when you don't. Write that down. Right? It's in the name, right? I'm ignoring what's true because I'd rather be right. Are we all clear on what that means? All right. So I'm not going to do this for every class, boys, but in the last class, I had someone pour a water bottle out, and I said, stop the water pouring when I say stop, and I didn't tell them to stop until it was overflowing with water. Okay? What is this an analogy for? The water represents what? What we think we know. Most people, do they go into certain situations and perceptions and think they know the answer? Right? Or they want it to be a certain way, correct? Is that having a full cup? When you think you know something when you go into a situation, right? I already know everything about ball handling and finishing. I don't got to work on it, right? Is that going into it with a full cup? Are you going to grow fast if you have a full cup? Who grows the fastest when there's what? When there's empty cup. Write that down. The more empty my cup is, the faster I'm going to grow. What does that mean, Camden? The more empty my cup is, the faster I'm going to grow. There's more room to grow. If you have an empty cup, are you more concerned with what actually works and is true than what you think you know? And that's exactly why you grow faster. Does that make sense, boys? I need to come up with a new phrase. I say that a lot, don't I? Are you on the same page? Like, does that make sense? I need a new phrase for it. Okay? So, Camden, you weren't here for it, but everyone else was. What are the two different types of ego? Connected or separate? Well, sorry, I just gave you the answer, right? So there's a separate ego and a connected ego. Okay, everyone write that down again since we didn't know how to answer it. So what's an ego, Cole?
Basically, it's kind of all your thoughts and your thinking.
Yep, so the way you...
Yeah. The way you see things, basically.
The way you see your...
Perceive.
Yes. Who?
Yourself.
Boom. Ego is the way you see yourself, right? So those are two different ways of seeing yourself compared to other people. Does that make sense, boys? Which one causes ignorance? The separate ego, right? Because the separate ego judges, correct? So it would rather be right than figure out what's true. Make sense? Now, the reason this relates to truth, okay, there's two different types of truth, boys, okay? You have a separate ego truth and a connected ego truth, all right? So write the word truth down next to the two different egos you just wrote. So the separate ego truth, Ollie, all right? Let's say, what's your favorite food, Ollie? Chicken noodles, okay? So Ollie's favorite food is chicken noodles. Is that a separate ego truth? Yeah. Yes. Another word you can think of for separate ego, boys, is subjective. So write that down. Subjective. We've talked about that before, correct? So is that a subjective truth for Ollie? It is, right? Is that true for Camden? No. It's a subjective truth, and it's relative, right? Can that truth change? His favorite food? That's a truth that could for sure change, right? So it's not set in stone, it's not timeless, okay? So write that down. Subjective truth can change. And it's only true for who? Yourself. And that's why we're just talking about the different types of truth, boys. Okay? Are we saying subjective truth is always bad? No, it's just important to know the difference so you don't get caught. Okay, so subjective truth changes, correct? Yes? Which one do you think is going to grow you faster? The truths that change or the truths that are timeless? The ones that are timeless, right? Because those are always true. Those are always fact. Does that make sense? Because if some truths are susceptible to change, like subjective truth, okay, if that truth changes, does that mean it's always going to work or always going to improve you? No. But a timeless truth, we can guarantee you it will, because it doesn't change. Does that make sense? So, the second type of truth, okay, is under the connected ego, and that's objective. So what's objective mean, boys? Subjective is seeing things through your eyes. So what's objective? Correct. So an example could be, the fly just landed on my hand, and everyone could see that fly, correct? Is that objectively true? Yes, okay? Right, because we can confirm it with everyone else. It's true for everyone. Write that down. Objective truth is truth for everyone. And if it's truth for everyone, does that mean it's timeless? What truth grows you fastest? Boom. Write that down. That's the biggest thing, how it all connects with growth. Does that make sense, Max? All right. Is anybody lost?
Yeah,
A little bit?
so we want timeless truth instead of truth that can change.
Correct. Because is it true for everyone then? Yes. Okay. Does that make sense? Because the subjective truth, boys, is it more concerned with being right or what's true for everyone?
True for everyone.
That's what we want to be concerned with. But most of the time, are we concerned with what's subjectively true? Yes. Does that make sense? Or are we all lost? Raise your hand if you're confused. It's okay. Camden's confused. Who else is confused? Raise your hand if you're confused. Or we're all getting it. We all get it? We do? Yeah. Okay. So someone, what are the biggest things you're confused with, Camden? It's okay. Everything. Okay. Totally okay. I'm going to send you the links to the videos. You are going to have to watch those for everything to make more sense. Does that make sense? Because we have talked about a lot of these terms in other classes. Cool? Totally okay to be confused. I'll make sure I get you up to speed, though. Sound good? But the biggest thing is, which one do we want to be concerned with? Which type of truth? Bashan. Subjective or objective? Objective, because it's true for everyone, and it's timeless. Does that make sense? Are we cool? We're good with that? All right. Let's write this down, boys. Inconsistency versus upgrading. Inconsistency versus upgrading. Okay, most people, let's say they have an opinion on something, like ball handling is the best skill in basketball. Okay? And let's say they change their opinion, right? They're not concerned with being right. They'd rather find out what's true, and they say basketball is the best skill in basketball. Okay? Most people view changing of opinions as what? Most people view changing of opinions as what? Which word? Inconsistent or upgraded? Most people view it as inconsistent, right? You're flip-flopping your opinions, right? You're changing your view on this, okay? But it actually is upgrading. Why? You're more concerned with what's true, with what actually gets you better. Not what you think, what actually works, right? You're not being inconsistent, you're changing to upgrade. You're more concerned with growing and what's true than sticking with what you've thought your whole life. Does that make sense, boys? Now this is crucial. This is the most important thing you're going to learn. To grow, you have to prove your previous self what? Boom. Write that down. To grow, you have to prove your previous self wrong. If nothing is changing, you are not growing. Are we starting to see how all this connects? Right? So if I cling to what I think, or subjective truth, if I'm more concerned with that, you're going to get stuck. You're not going to keep evolving. You're not going to upgrade because you want to stick to what you think is right. Cool? Beautiful. All right, so let's backtrack. Someone tell me what we just learned. Cam.
Learn that we want to pretty much like focus on stuff that's like engraved in stone and stuff that keeps changing all the time.
Ye-
That's gonna help us get better.
So we want to focus on what's true for everyone, not just ourselves. Correct?
And to grow, you have to prove your past self wrong.
That's really good. Is that a really important phrase to remember? Right? Because most people, Max, if they're inconsistent with their opinions, if most people change their opinions, what do people think?
That is inconsistent.
That's inconsistent. That's something bad. But you're upgrading your views. You're more concerned with what actually works. Does that make sense, boys? Cool. So, how many different worldviews are there, boys? What is a worldview?
It's like how someone perceives the world.
Yeah. So, like, do I have a worldview? Do you have a worldview? Okay. How many worldviews are there?
Most people are on the earth.
Boom. Write that down. There's 8 billion worldviews. Why is that important to know? What do we think, boys? Why is that important to know?
Because we might not see the world the same way anybody else does.
Yes.
People do.
Right? So is everyone seeing reality differently? So do any of us have full truth? No. Right? Does anybody have the full answer? No. So this is important to understand. Okay? Objective truth for us is like a North Star. Okay? In the sky. Can you get closer to the North Star? Correct. You can't get closer, but can you fully get there? No. Is anybody fully there? No. But we can strive to move towards it. Does that make sense? Why is it important to know that everyone sees the world differently, Luke?
You have to focus on what's actually true, not what everyone thinks is true.
Correct. So if everyone's seeing it differently, does that mean that someone has the true answer? Not fully. Everyone's seeing it differently still. But we can move towards it. We can get closer to seeing more clearly. Does that make sense, boys? And it takes focus on the right things to do that. Sound good? We on the same page? Raise your hand if you're confused with why it's important to know there's a bunch of different worldviews. Are we good right now? Semi getting it, Camden? Okay. What'd you say?
Oh, that was a bug. Let me see.
All right. So, now let's talk about biases, boys. Okay, what's a bias? Have we heard of this term before? Cool.
Political opinions is one bias.
Okay, but what is that? What's a bias? There's a bunch of different biases.
I think it's like if you're in like a competition and you have to judge something, one of the judges might give them a higher score than they deserve or a lower score.
That's a great example.
Bias is like favoring one side of an argument or doesn't have to be an argument of a thing.
Correct. So remember in the beginning when I said most people are more concerned about being right than actually finding what's right? You remember that? What is that?
Being biased.
Bias. That is a bias. You want to lean towards something. You want something to be a certain way because that's how you view it. That's your opinion. You want to try and confirm it. Does that make sense? Do biases cloud our vision? Max, Vishon? They cloud our vision. Okay, are you two okay back here? You are? Are we on the same page? Okay. Always raise your hand, boys. Is it okay to not know what's going on? Yeah, you just got to participate and let me know. Cool? So we're going to talk about a bunch of different biases because they cloud our vision. And so essentially, do we have to be very, very careful of how we interpret things? Because a lot of times, can we trick ourselves and it's actually not what we think is true? Yes. Make sense? So let's write the first one down, confirmation bias. We're only going to talk about the most common ones. Anybody heard of this before? Okay. So a confirmation bias, boys, an example of this could be, let's say, the dictator's in control, boys. When the dictator's in control, are we more positive or negative? Negative. That'll make sense when you watch the videos, okay? More negative, right? So we tend to have more stories, negative stories about ourselves. So say it's in basketball and you tell yourself, I suck at ball handling. That's the story you're telling yourself. A confirmation bias would be, you only notice when you screw up in ball handling. You're confirming your story by only paying attention to what the story is. You don't pay attention to all the successes you have in ball handling because it doesn't confirm your story. Does that make sense? Yes or no? It does? So everyone take a minute to think about what's a confirmation bias in my own life or my own game that I could write down and think of. Go. What's a story you tell yourself that you try and confirm and you see that more and that clouds your vision of seeing what's right or true? Raise your hand if you need help. All right, if you don't raise your hand, I'm going to call on you and you better have an answer. Otherwise, raise your hand right now. Or does everyone have an example? You need help, Sean? Okay. So let's think of a story you tell yourself. So in basketball, what do you tell yourself? Are you good? Are you bad? Let's think of a specific skill. What's a skill you struggle with? Max, you want to help Sean? Okay. Max is gonna help you. You need help, Grayson? Cam, help Grayson. You got it? You got it?
I'm thinking on it. I don't need help.
Do you two got it? You need help, Camden? You think you got it or no? Ollie, work with Camden. You two work together. Give me one answer. Good. I'll give 30 more seconds for our groups. Each group is going to present one answer or one example. Coffee. Yep. It's coffee. Do you guys like this class setup better or the other one?
The other one is more like a auditorium. This one's more like a classroom. Like, I don't like school, but like, I would rather have this as a classroom.
This? Yeah. All right. We good? Cole, I lied. Ollie and Camden, what do we got?
If I have a bad shot.
No. Other Camden.
Okay.
Everyone eyes and ears.
I focus on when my room is messy, but I never focus on when it's clean.
That's a great confirmation bias, right? I suck at cleaning my room. I only notice when it's messy. You don't pay attention to when it's clean, right? Is that an example of not seeing clearly? A bias is not seeing clearly. That's perfect. Good job. Did you both come up with that? Something like that. Does that make sense, though, what the example he gave? Okay, what do we got?
I say I focus on like I'm not a good when I'm like fail at shooting and like I'm not really good, but not when I'm good at shooting.
Okay, so you notice your misses more than your makes? Is that a confirmation bias? That's perfect. Does that make sense for Sean? It does? Okay. What do we got over here, this group of three?
If I have a bad shot, I tell myself I can't
Close. So if you tell yourself you can't shoot, that means you tend to notice more what?
Bad shots.
You tend to notice more bad shots than good shots. Does that make sense? You're confirming the story.
I tell myself that I'm not a good shooter, but then I only think about the ones that I miss.
Perfect. Okay? Does that make sense, boys? So if you're confirming what you already think, or this story that you're telling yourself, or what you think is true, okay, is that seeing clearly? No. There is a bunch of biases, and some classes are going to get to more than others depending on the time we have. We're not going to get to any more today, but you have tons and tons and tons of biases in your psychology. So do we have to be very careful with how we interpret stuff? Very. Because I promise you we all see it a lot less clearly than we think. Does that make sense? Am I saying you should be unsure of yourselves? No. I'm just saying be more concerned with what's true for everyone than what's just true for you. Because which one will grow you faster? What's true for everyone? That's going to get results. That's what's going to grow you. Does that make sense? We're about growth here. Cool? Are we all on the same page on how truth relates to mindfulness and all the stuff we've learned in class? It's a little complicated, isn't it? Okay, but do we think we see a benefit to this? Or are we understanding the concepts? We are? Okay. What do we got? Does someone have a watch?
52.
Okay. Meditation. So, everyone's going to be doing this meditation except for you, Camden. I'm going to assign a different one. Okay? Boys, show Camden our meditation position. Okay? So we make it a 90-degree angle with our legs. Our spine is a stack of quarters. So I'm not too tense and my quarters fall over. I'm not too loose and my quarters fall over. Okay? It's a balance between relaxed and alert. Okay? When you're in this position, Camden, you're going to close your eyes. The reason we close our eyes is because there's less stimuli that come through your eyes. It's easy to stay focused. Okay? Meditation is a word like sport, boys, correct? We're not meditating just yet, Cole. Okay? It's a word like sport. Why? Are there a bunch of different types of meditation? Meditation is using the mind in a specific way to train a certain quality. It's not, is it just, is that what meditation is? No, there's a bunch of different ways to meditate. Could I meditate right now if I wanted to? Yeah. I'm focused on what I'm doing. I'm being intently aware of what's going on. This is mindfulness. I'm present. Does that make sense? Is that meditation? Intentionally using the mind in a specific way. Cool? You boys, what you're going to be doing, okay, we're going to bump you up to 8 minutes. Right? Just like weights, we got to go up 1 minute every week. We're at 8 minutes, correct? What did we do last week? How many minutes? Okay, so we're at 8 minutes. Does that make sense? 5 days a week is the agreement. To get into this class, you have to do the meditations, starting now, Vishon and Cam. Right? Yes? Because if you don't do them, are you going to get better at any of the stuff I teach you? No. You have to do the meditations. Okay? So 8 minutes, 5 days a week. What you guys are going to do is you're going to do the same in and out. Sorry. You're not doing the in and out meditation anymore. What you're doing is you sit in your position, boys, and you're literally going to do nothing. You're just going to watch a movie, right? That's what you're doing. You're watching the movie of the mind, the movie of yourself. And I want you to watch what happens, okay? Are you trying to do anything when you sit and do nothing? No. Are you trying to not do anything when you sit and do nothing? You just watch. But you have to do all of this without moving. The without moving is the key piece, because the solution to ignorance, when we're ignorant, we close ourselves off, Vishon, correct? Right? We're closing. I believe it this way. I'm not going to open myself to someone's perspective. Okay? Opening is the solution then. Emptying our cup, correct? So the reason not moving is a key factor in this meditation, when we have the urge to move, do we want to give into that urge or open to it? Open, right? Surrender to that urge. See if you can watch the urge to move. See what's going on instead of mindlessly moving. Does that make sense? So not moving is practicing that ability to open. Cool? We're all on the same page? Yes?
So we're literally just like sitting there doing.
You're in your meditative position, you sit there and watch. Mindfulness is fully turned on, full blast, and you're not moving, open to whatever you feel uncomfortable or resistant to.
Eyes closed.
Eyes closed. Does that make sense? We are going to practice. Cool? You You're going to be in your meditative position. And what's the in-out meditation, boys? Someone help Camden. Cam?
You focus on your breath, like you go in and you focus on like either your the tip of your nose, your chest, or like your diaphragm.
Yep. So when I breathe in, you say softly in your mind, in. And when you breathe out, you say softly out. Is that all you do? It's boring and simple. Why?
Because that makes us better.
When we're bored, what do we try and do? We try to escape. We try to think. We try to get out of it. Okay? The act of coming back to the breath, Camden, is building that mindfulness and focus. So knowing when you get lost, it's okay to get lost. Know when you're lost and come back to the breath. Again, this will make more sense when you watch the videos. But all you're doing is in, out, what's for dinner, what shoes, I hope camp's going to be fun. Oh, I'm lost, come back. Does that make sense? That's it, right? So mindfulness is that watching ability. Cool? And you'll learn what that is once we watch the videos. Sound good? Cool. Are we all on the same page? Do you boys know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? We're going to practice right now. Okay, so get in your meditative position. What do we got for time, Ollie?
57.
Okay. We're going to go for a few minutes. That means you owe me more minutes in the week. So say we go for 2 minutes. You guys owe me 6 more minutes today. You'd owe me 3 more minutes. 5 days a week. You can skip the weekends. Cool? We're all on the same page? Awesome. Get in your position. On your marks. Get set. So Camden, hands on knees. Yep. Spine straight. And you close your eyes. In, out. Get lost. Come back. Cool? You boys are trying not to move. You're doing nothing. And watch your movie. Hands on knees. No moving. Ready? Go. Time. Really good job, boys. Not a single one of you moved. Are there questions about what you did? Cole, you good? Do we think we know what we're doing? Yes?
Are you trying to notice when you're lost and then come back?
Well, you're just trying to watch. So being behind what you see. To know that you know, right?
To like stop what you're seeing. Like if you're like looking at stuff in the past, or looking at stuff in the future, or the present.
To just watch, yes. To know that you know.
Then if we do start thinking about this, are we supposed to come back or just watch it?
Just know that, yeah, that's a good question. So, for you boys, we're not going to do that. That's a pretty advanced meditation, and I don't have enough time to go deep into it. Just do in, out, but focus on the not moving and open to the urge to move. Does that make sense? Because open is the solution we learned today, correct? Is that the skill I'm trying to build in you? That's the whole point of the speech, right? Opening, not closing ourselves off. Correct? So that's a good question. Let's just focus on in and out like we have been. Let's do 8 minutes and just don't move. Open to the urge to move. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. We'll eventually get to the do nothing. It is hard to explain, and it's hard to get if you're doing it right. So are we all on the same page, boys? Did I just change what we're doing? Yes, I did. Cool. Do we know what we're doing now, though? Camden, did it make sense what you were doing? Do you have any questions? Okay. Write down your number. Class dismissed. Great job, kids.